Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it got pretty worse. Week 16 was a travesty, was a mollywopping. The Carolina Panthers got flat out destroyed in very sad fashion. Honestly, nothing. Honestly, aside from Christian McCaffrey, what little he was able to do, not a single thing went right for the Panthers in this game. Period. So, in their very last away game of the year, Carolina Panthers suffer their seventh straight loss, losing to the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 38-6. So bad we couldn't even get one touchdown. This was also the regular season debut of third round quarterback out of West Virginia, Will Greer. Yeah. Will Greer finished with 27 of 44, 224 yards, no touchdowns, and three interceptions. He was also sacked 5 times. Yeah. He got the green light to start this game after Kyle Allen was benched after the previous loss. So it looks like we are going to finish the season with Will Greer at the helm. You know, there were a couple of good throws that Will Greer made, but ultimately, not a good game for Will Greer. But, if anything is to get him some exposure. But I can't really say that I'm surprised at how it turned out for him. Um, Christian McCaffrey had 13 carries, 54 yards. Um, he also had 15 receptions for 119 yards. But he was the most productive for the receiving core. Everybody else, Greg Olson only had 2 catches. Jarris Wright had 1. Curtis Samuel and Chris Hogan had 2 catches. I think the only positive spark was Michael Pilardi, the punter, threw for a pass on fourth down and got a first down with a completion to DeAndrew White, which was probably the best pass thrown from the Carolina Panthers all game. Jacoby Brissett didn't have a phenomenal game. 14 of 27, 119 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, was sacked 3 times. But that's the main thing. He didn't turn over the ball. The run game, Carolina defense torched as usual from the run game. Marlon Mack, 16 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett, 3 carries, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Wilkins, 9 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Yep. Oh, but that's not all. No. That's only 3 rushing touchdowns. The other 2 touchdowns were both from punt returns. Yes. I'm gonna try to say his name correctly. Naheim Hines or Neheim Hines. I don't know if I said that right. Finished with 3 punt returns, totaling 195 yards and 2 punt return touchdowns. So the Colts finished with 3 rushing touchdowns and 2 punt return touchdowns. And I believe they may have gotten 1 field goal. Yeah, and a field goal. It's bad enough. The Carolina run defense is craptacular. But when the special teams falls apart like it did, it's like this team doesn't even care. This team is a lost cause. Like, O line is terrible, defense terrible, special teams terrible. Like, honestly, it's so bad. Why even play this final game of the season? I mean, I'm not one that, encourages that, but just looking at this team, it's like McCaffrey's really the only one that's doing anything positive. And it's sad. I mean, no wonder why him and Luke Kuechly are in the Pro Bowl. And the thing is, this is one of Luke Kuechly's, I think, if not his worst season. And it's bad. I mean, it's hard enough with what we got out of Kyle Allen, but then, you know, giving Will Greer a shot didn't make it any better, but the season was a lost cause long before anyway. So, I mean, and it's just bad enough. No longer have Ron Rivera. Still have Eric Washington. And just, it's bad. The defense looks lost out there. They look completely lost. The offense, just the offensive line is inconsistent and just too many bad decisions, bad throws, just cannot capitalize. It's just bad. It's just really, really bad. So Panthers dropped to 5-10. That is 7 losses in a row. So their final game will be a home game against the Saints, and if they which they could potentially end up with their 8th straight loss. And sounds so familiar because that's what happened with Cam, with an unhealthy Cam. And yet the funny thing is, still there are plenty of people that say, "Oh, if we had Cam, it wouldn't have been any different." Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, but yeah, one more game against the Saints, which now I'm not even convinced with the standings. I mean, take a look at these standings. I'm not even convinced that they even have the number 1 seed locked down. They have the division locked down, but they don't have the number 1 seed just yet. So I'm sure this final upcoming week 17, the Saints are going to want to play their starters. They're going to want to play their starters, because they're still competing with Seattle, San Francisco, and Green Bay for that number one seed. So potentially one of those four teams, are eligible for the number one seed in the NFC. So yeah, Carolina could potentially finish the season with a record of 5-11. Wouldn't surprise me either. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. This team is trash, and I'm ready for the off season to come so they can really work on revamping this team, fixing, repairing, whatever they got to do. But there's a lot of work to be done this off season. Anyway, that's all I have. Blitzball champ out. See y'all.